Hey guys, my name is Simi Dele Awe. Welcome back. So this is a part 2 of a video that I made like a week ago. If you have not seen part 1, please go see it. If you're watching this on YouTube, I will post it in the comment section below. If you're watching this on Instagram, it is a purple and white background on my page. It's an IGTV video, so just please check that out before you watch this video so that you have a full understanding of where I'm coming from. So in the first video, we talked about what spiritual attacks look like, and many times it's like literally the smallest things, or it's a thing that we've kind of normalized in our life and we kind of don't even pay attention to anymore, but they're actually spiritual attacks. So once again, please check out that first video. In this video, we'll be talking about how to overcome those little things that happen in our lives that could possibly be the plan of the enemy just to take us off a track. The things that we start to consider that we were once convicted about, the things that take us away from the presence of God. How can we overcome that? Like when we see it happening, when we see the devil throwing the first jab, like what do we do? What's our defense? So you already know we're probably gonna start with prayer. I know this is really cliche, but I feel like we live in a generation that really values prayer, and it's sad because we leave prayer to the old women in the church, and we leave prayer to grandma and and pastor, and we don't even think that we need to pray anymore. Meanwhile, a lot of us are even breathing today because there was somebody who was praying over us, and God is like, okay, they had you for 20 years, they had you for 25 years, but when are you going to step up and actually start praying over yourself? In Matthew 26, we see that Jesus is about to say some final prayers before he gets crucified, and so he takes Peter, James, and John into the Garden of Gethsemane, and he's like, I need you guys to pray. And so he goes, and then he comes back and they're asleep, because isn't that what conveniently happens when it's time for us to pray? We just fall asleep. We just get so sleepy. We can't sleep all night until it's time to pray. And Jesus is like, hey, I need you guys to stay up and pray. He goes back and he's like, what is going on? Why are you guys not praying? Don't you understand that I know you want to serve me? I know you want to be devoted to me. I know you could kill for me or whatever, but your spirit is willing, but your flesh is super duper weak. And in order to quicken your spirit and to subdue your flesh, I need you to open up your mouth and pray. This is not the time to sleep. And they did not do that. It happened 3 times, and they did not pray the way they were supposed to. And guess what? When it was time for Jesus to get taken away, they went and they ran like they never knew Jesus. Open up your mouth and pray. You're not too young to pray. Stop leaving it to grandma. Do it yourself. Do it yourself, because some things will not move until you decide that they need to move. And you decide that they need to move when you start to open up your mouth and pray. The second thing that I found helps me when I am going through spiritual attacks is to really guard my gates. Philippians 4:8 says, and now, dear brothers and sisters, one final thing. Fix your thoughts on what is true and honorable and right and pure and lovely and admirable. Think about these things that are excellent and worthy of praise. When your guard is down, when you feel disappointed, when you feel hurt, when you feel betrayed, that is the prime time for the enemy to attack. And if you're not surrounding yourself with godly people who are not moved by the things around them but are moved by the Spirit of God, you are going to fall into temptation so fast. I also really watch what I listen to as far as music, y'all. Music is so powerful, and many times what we don't realize is that a lot of times when our spirit is really weak and we're super vulnerable, the kind of music we listen to can really penetrate our souls. Like it can really influence our decisions. And it's not every time trap music. It's not every time panty droppers. Like it's not every time that we're listening to Drake. It's sometimes we just need to be in a space where nothing but the Spirit, nothing but Jesus, right? Now, don't get me wrong, I am not against secular music. I have my playlist. Please trust me that I do. But when I am vulnerable and I know I'm being attacked, I watch what I allow to feed my spirit. 1 Corinthians 9:27 says, I discipline my body like an athlete, training it to do what it should. Otherwise, I fear that after preaching to others, I myself may be disqualified. One of the biggest things I've learned as a Christian is that fasting helps your spirit, man. Many times people think that fasting is one of those things that you do for God, and it's like, nah, God is good. There's nothing that he can do with you fasting. If anything, fasting shows God your heart posture. But it's not like God is gonna eat the food that you're not eating, right? So when we fast, what we're really doing is we're training our flesh. We're training our flesh to bow down to our spirit. A lot of times people are struggling with lust because they've never learned to train their flesh off season, right? I'm not talking about training your flesh when you're in the heat of the moment. I'm talking about training your flesh when nothing is tempting you, right? Train your flesh. Learn to say no to food, right? Food is one of those natural desires that we have as humans, but it's motivated by the flesh. Our body needs to eat. Of course, I'm not saying kill yourself, but I think there is a lot of us are controlled by our appetite, and not just like our appetite for food, but our appetite for sexual desires. We say things like, I am sexually frustrated, and it's like, that's the same term people use when they're hungry and angry. Like it's from the same place. And so if you can learn to train your body to not eat even though you are hungry, you will learn to subdue your flesh and heighten your spirit man during those times when the devil is attacking. When Jesus was first starting his ministry, the first time that we see Jesus in the Bible as an adult, he just came off of a 40-day fast. And as soon as he got off that fast, the devil was waiting for him, ready to attack. I believe that Jesus, even though he was Jesus, he was still a man. And he came, one of the reasons that he came was not just to die for us, but to actually experience the things that we're experiencing. And if he can go and fast so that he can defeat the devil, we need to be fasting so that we can defeat the devil. I truly believe that food, I'm not saying it's the only way to fast. Food, you can fast social media, you can fast a lot of things. Food is the one thing that your flesh naturally desires. If you're able to say, I know my flesh desires this thing, but I'm not going to give it to my flesh. Instead, I'm going to depend on my spirit man to sustain me through this period of consecration and dedication to God. You'll be able to avoid a lot of sins that seems to trip us up. You'll be able to get out of a lot of cycles. You'll be able to break a lot of chains because you're able to control your flesh. Your flesh is a wild animal, and unless it's controlled, it will continue to win over and over and over again. And so I want to encourage you, if you've never tried fasting, try fasting. Even if it's once a week till 12 p.m. Dedicate that time to God and be like, God, during this time, I am disciplining my flesh to bow down to my spirit. One of the biggest times that the enemy will always try to attack you is when there is a new phase in your life. So let's say you graduated from school, be ready, there's probably going to be an attack coming. If you are stepping into marriage, if you are having a child, if you just entered into a new relationship, there's going to be like that is just, it's almost inevitable. Like the enemy has patterns, and that's usually how the enemy attacks. Another thing to watch out for is that God will always bless us through people. The enemy will always attack through people. I can't tell you how many times where God has leveled me up, and that's when the finest boy I have ever seen comes into my life and actually is looking at me, and I'm like, look, God has been silent for a year, and he finally comes blessing me, and that's when you see me, right? That is when you see me, right? Like, honestly, but just watch out for that, guys. I'm sure it happens to you guys too, but I just know it happens to me. It happens to me all the time, and it's like, he's come again. He's come again. I just want to encourage somebody watching this video that God is seeing you, and he's like, you may have lost a couple battles. You may have fallen into several temptations. You may have been weak in some areas. But God is saying that if you will refuse to lose, if you will refuse to give into the flesh, but continuously be directed and motivated and guided by the Spirit, you will win this war. Forget the battles that you lost. This entire war, you can win it. You can win it. All right, guys, that is it. I hope this video set somebody free. I hope that it really gave somebody perspective. If you have any questions, please feel free to hop in my DMs. I will answer them graciously. If I need to make another video, I will. this is something that I have struggled with for so long. And after I figured out the secret to overcoming the spiritual attacks of the enemy, the devil has to watch out, because now I'm teaching everybody. We're overcoming in 2020. No games are being played at all. Thank you guys so much for joining me today. I hope you're blessed. Have a great one.